Welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. Check my last update. If you didn't see it, it looks like I'm going to be able to do some more videos for a while. Anyway. Okay, I think we'll go in the house and make some cream of vegetable soup. Welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. And actually, we're in Gail's kitchen today. I want to show you how to use vegetables and getting them into your diet. Let's take a mixture of vegetables now. I have a few here. This was all from broccoli shoots from my garden. And this is from my garden too. But anyway, I've got a big bunch of asparagus that I'm going to cut up too. And I'm going to show you a way to use your veggies in a cream of vegetable soup. And you'll need some cashews, which I've got soaking a little bit here to soften them up. I'll usually soak those overnight to make my cashew milk, which is what I'm going to do. But I didn't soak them overnight. I still need to soak them a little bit, because I'm going to use them in this, and it makes this is so good. Okay, and I didn't do all of my broccoli. I had it wrapped in a paper towel and a baggie to keep it fresher in the fridge, but actually this is a nice big bunch. I'm going to save some for my breakfast. It's wonderful with eggs. And I have these other vegetables in the pot that I'm going to put this in with those vegetables. We're going to lightly steam them. If you have a little steamer basket, that would be good. I don't have one, so I don't know. I put about maybe 2 inches of water in there and got it to boiling. I put my veggies in. I'm going to put the lid on and let these steam. Okay, while those vegetables are steaming, I'm going to peel my carrots. I just washed my celery, finished peeling my onion, and get these chopped up. What we're going to do with these is saute them. Okay, I got this idea from, I'm not sure if I pronounce her name right, Karen Hooten. She's an RN, and she cooks natural, healthy stuff. But I always tweak recipes to how I want them, but I get a basic idea from hers. And I have never tried it with the cashews before, because I always used milk before, which was wonderful. So this is going to be my first time actually using the cashews as she suggests. She doesn't use milk either, but at the time I just liked her wonderful recipes. I can't eat bananas, or I might even try that. And like I said, I always tweak my recipes, but I did get my idea from her book, which I got this a long time ago, but my favorite recipe in here is this one. Okay, I put a light covering of oil in the pan. Sometimes I use coconut oil. You want an oil that'll take a high heat. I actually am using a Chosen Foods organic avocado, coconut, and safflower oil. So I'm going to do my sauteing of my onions and stuff. I didn't quite get that hot enough yet. Let that get a little hotter before I add the rest. It didn't sizzle. I'll finish cutting up my celery and carrots, and we'll get that going. Okay, it's starting to sizzle now. I should have did my carrots first, because they're the hardest of the vegetables, and here I'm cutting them up the last. So what I may do is just turn this off a second and cut up my carrots, give them time to soften. You're actually going to add these after you make the cream base for your soup. You're going to add these last, so you still get a little bit of a bite and a crunch in your soup. It's not all just soupy. But you'll have your cream soup base, and you'll have little bits of these in it. And it's so good. Now, the recipe in the book calls for much less than what I am making, but I like to make things in a big way so I have extra to eat and don't spend all my time in the kitchen. because I have so much to do in the garden and other things. So I make more. Like I said, everything, make it for yourself. Don't be just doing everything by the book and by the authority. Use your brain. Use your imagination. Do things. You can get ideas from others, but then tweak it to yourself. Be you. If you have a family, be the mother or the father that's going to really take control and do what they need to do for their family. Anyway, so much for that. You know, the Bible says not to be a part of the world system. You know what? I stuck a piece of carrot in my mouth and picked up the camera to talk without thinking about it. Sorry about that. Let me swallow this carrot. But the Bible says not to be a part of the world, and meaning the world system, if you check up the Greek word. You're not supposed to be a part of the world system. Okay? So that's because there's also another scripture that says Satan is the god of this world. In other words, the god of this world system. Those people may not even know, but they are lying to you a lot of times and telling you things that are not true. Satan hates you. He wants his own way, his own thing. So think for yourself. You can get ideas, but don't always believe, and I'm not talking about cookbooks necessarily right now, but just in general about thinking on your own. Think for yourself. Figure things out. Don't believe everything you hear on the media. Think for yourself. They don't like that either. But I'm so proud that there's some people in some of the other countries right now that are standing up for themselves. But I've seen some clips. Their police went out there with water guns, knocking them over and everything else, and the people weren't doing anything wrong. They were just trying to stand up for their own, able to think on their own, make their own decisions, and their governments didn't want them to. But I better shut up before I get into trouble on this channel. At least about that part anyway. Let's get back to our wonderful creamy soup. Oh, isn't that beautiful? So pretty. Okay, now what am I going to do with these scraps? I'm going to cut them up a little bit more. Just show you. Cut them up. They're dirty. The one on the top is for my tea, and the one on the bottom is for my bigger scraps. And part of that didn't get cut up, but it will break down quicker if you cut it up. And then I brought my, you can see a little bit of the carrot shavings down there. The chickens ate most of it. You know, that rooster, he thinks for himself. And we had trapped him in the other cage, a dog cage, because I wanted to cut his wing because he's trying to persuade my chickens to leave and take him back to the ranch that he came from across the way. And we didn't want him to, so I caught him, and he hollered. Once I got in the cage and shut the gate, I cornered him and finally caught him. He hollered and fought, and then I was holding him by the legs upside down, carefully, but that usually calms him down a little bit. And then he just kind of was real quiet and everything, and the people across the way, there's several ranches here that belong to within the same family. They have a big Great Pyrenees, and he heard the rooster hollering like he was dying, and he came running over, growling and barking on the fence right next to where we're at. And I told him, it's okay, white dog, it's okay. And I'm not hurting him. He thinks I'm going to, but I'm not. I'm just clipping one of his wings. And then the dog settled down, and then all of a sudden, after I finished clipping him, I started to stand up. Man, he just pulled up and fought one big, ferocious last fight. I guess he thought he had me fooled. He was so quiet for a while that he might get away, but I know chickens pretty well. I expected it. I kept a firm hand until I could get him back over here and put him in the cage, because he doesn't come in this cage with the other hens. At night, he sleeps up in the trees. I've got to get him used to it. He may not be able to fly up in the trees now. But I just didn't want him up on the fence and then over and calling the hens. He's been calling them into the other field and away from here. So, yeah, he thought for himself and he fought. He didn't know. He knew I'm the one that feeds him and his girls and all of that. But yet, he was going to fight for his life. So I just thought that was kind of cool. Back to our cream soup. Another thing you can do with these scraps is save them and boil them for soup stock, vegetable stock, or you can add beef or chicken to it and make a stock with it that way too, which I think I might do with the rest of these. Okay, I have my trusty handy dandy little food processor and I'm going to check my veggies in here to see if they're tender. It looks like they are. And I'm going to put them in here and I'm going to grind them up real fine. Now I'm not putting these in there, just so you know, but I'm just sauteing these lightly. These will go in later. They're not going to be ground up. They're not part of your cream soup stock. Well, they are a stock, but they're not part of the cream part. Okay, I'm going to save that to make my soup stock with too for another soup another time. This is not part of this recipe. I'm just saving some of this stuff. But I'll make a vegetable broth stock like. Actually, I'm just going to leave this in here because I've got to add 3 cups, I'm wondering, or more, we'll see, of water. I'm going to put my blended vegetables and these in here and cook together about 5 minutes, and then we'll work on the creamy part. Well, this is part of what's going to make it creamy too. I just mixed it with that little bit of stock that was in there back in after it's been blended. And now I'm going to add this to this and cook it up maybe 5 minutes at the most. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more water. I would say there was probably 3/4 cup of water. I'm just going to add a couple cups, maybe more. Get it a good, let it cook about 5 minutes. Add some salt and pepper. And then how I'm going to get some herbs into this, I'm going to add some of my all-purpose seasoning, which is a lot of herbs. And not too much, because I don't want to overpower the flavor of the wonderful vegetables. Just maybe a pinch or 2 to taste. But start out with a little, taste it, and add more if you want. We are not done. We have more to go. This is what it looks like after I put the water in it. It's really dark. I don't usually use the chard, but I had some rainbow chard. That's a nice thing. You can use whatever you want. So it's usually not quite as dark, but that's fine. It just means lots of vitamins. And that water that I used that was left over in here, that'll be full of vitamins and minerals from steaming those vegetables. So this ought to be really good for you. It's usually green, but just not as dark. I don't usually put spinach in it. I usually use mainly asparagus and some peas, and usually a little broccoli too. And this time you saw what I put in, so it's a slightly different. But it's okay, it'll be good. Guess what that is? A clock! We're going to watch that clock about 5 minutes in general, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, I am going to use my bullet to blend this instead of my other blender because the bullet really does a better job on cutting up and making this into a milky substance than my regular. I don't have a Vitamix. I did years ago. It was wonderful. But this will work for this, and so I'm going to mix that, and then I can only put so much, though, in a bullet. I'll mix this up and then mix the rest of the cashews that are over here. Ooh, that is nice and creamy. I'm going to add a little water, mix it a little bit more, and then I'll blend up the rest of the cashews. I just poured the first batch of the cashews in there. It already looks so good. Now understand, these are raw cashews. You cannot use the baked, cooked. They have to be raw cashews to make your cashew milk. Okay, I've got the cashew milk in there. Now see, it did lighten up some with the cashew milk, but boy, it's just not as thick as with regular milk. Still, that's okay. I'm anxious. I'm going to let it finish heating back up since I just added the cashew. I don't want to really cook it, though, that much more. And it will be ready to eat, and I'll let you know. Still getting used to not cooking with milk and drinking milk. I cheated and tasted a little bit so I knew what to put in it. It may not be with milk, but it still tastes really good. The consistency is not quite as thick, but it still tastes good. Now, I'm going to do one more thing that I haven't done before. Like I said, I'm always trying to think of ways to incorporate my herbs. I'm going to get a little bit of astragalus, not ashwagandha. That's a different herb. I don't know that that would taste good in here. But astragalus almost has a chicken-based flavor to it almost. and it is really good to help build your immune system, but you use astragalus when you're not sick. Not after you get sick, because it doesn't work that way, but it helps to build your immune system. So I'm going to get a little bit of astragalus, maybe put, I don't know, half a tablespoon or something like that in there. Okay, here is my astragalus root. I'm going to put a little bit in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of turmeric powder too. Turmeric's really a good base in soups. I haven't tried in this one, but we're going to today. Okay, I just sprinkled some turmeric on there, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, or more, half a teaspoon, I don't know, a quarter maybe. It definitely the soup needed a little, what I call grounding. And this should really, really be good. Okay, I've got that all mixed in. I'm not going to cook it anymore. You know, soups are always better after they've set and all the flavors melded together. I'm going to eat a little bit of this because I haven't had breakfast. It's almost lunch. This will be kind of a brunch for me. But it'll be even better later if somebody comes along and wants a bowl of soup. They're going to get a yummy bowl of soup. Here, I'll taste it for you. Okay, here we go. It's hot. I'm going to burn my mouth. Okay, let's see. It's good, but I like salt, so I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Oh, I forgot to put my other herbs in it I was showing you too. Okay, I sprinkled a little bit of that in there, and I'm going to put a little bit more salt. Now, I don't put this into the pan. I don't want to cook away all the oils from the beneficial oils from the herbs. So after it's done cooking, I sprinkle it on my bowl, and I will also add some salt and see how that goes. Okay, here we go again. And it is hot. Gotta blow on it a little. Oh yeah, that's good. There you go. Give it a try. It's yummy. Give me a thumbs up too. Thanks. Bye.